I think that from my videos dealing with the 1888 debate of the Seventh-day Adventists on justification by faith, that some people may still be confused about it, but I see others are quite clear as to what did happen there in the Seventh-day Adventist rejecting the message of Wagner and Jones dealing with the subject of justification by faith alone. And it caused a tremendous schism in the Seventh-day Adventist organization then, that caused Wagner to be exiled and Ellen White to be exiled as well. This would play out through the years, and another tremendous event in the history of the Seventh-day Adventist organization would occur in 1980, and I have several videos up dealing with the Sanctuary Committee meeting, a conference meeting that was held in Glacier View, Colorado, where Desmond Ford, one of the leading theologians in the Seventh-day Adventist organization at the time and highly respected among Seventh-day Adventist people, tried to present to the General Conference their gross misinterpretation of Daniel chapter 8, something that I pointed out before as well. And he was trying to get them back on the right track as well by letting them know you cannot continue this counterfeit eschatology and your wrong interpretation of Daniel chapter 8 verse 14. Well, it appeared nothing more than a lynch mob with the Seventh-day Adventist General Conference, because they quickly dismissed Dr. Ford. And as I've pointed out several times, over 100 ministers left the Seventh-day Adventist organization because of their treatment of Dr. Ford, and several million members left. And the Seventh-day Adventist Church has been on a tremendous decline ever since. Well, it seemed that apparently the General Conference needed to appease its members somehow. So shortly after the Glacier View, Colorado debacle, they put a committee together known as DARCOM. That's an acronym for Daniel and Revelation Committee. What they had brought this committee together to do was to give some type of report to the members to show that they were right about their interpretation of Daniel chapter 8, when on several occasions they had been shown by their own scholars that they were wrong. So they pulled this committee together and had about 7 volumes of work in DARCOM dealing with the interpretation of not only Daniel but Revelation as well. And one of the people who attended this was a Seventh-day Adventist scholar by the name of Raymond Cottrell. And Tom Norris, who is a Seventh-day Adventist as well at All Experts, at allexperts.com, writes this about that DARCOM committee that came together to handle the interpretation of Daniel and Revelation. And I quote from Tom Norris here, I quote, "My view of this series," and that is the 7 books that came out making up DARCOM, I quote, "My view of the series agrees with the late Raymond Cottrell, an expert on the book of Daniel and SDA history. It was his scholarly opinion that this massive work was flawed, convoluted, and counterproductive from beginning to end. The work of the committee was disorganized, manipulative, and contradictive. These scholars who were controlled by the denomination dishonestly used the incorrect translation of the King James Version, even as they repeatedly and deliberately ignored the historical context of Daniel in order to reach a predetermined conclusion. In short, this series is contrived, dishonest, and irrelevant. It is nothing more than propaganda meant to justify Glacier View theology. The work is an insult to the Adventist movement and a disgrace to the discipline of theology." End quote. In other words, once again, they set out to fraud, to put out some type of propaganda to cover for the mistakes they had made at Glacier View in dismissing Dr. Ford, and tried once again to justify a misinterpretation of Scripture, which according to Tom Norris and Dr. Contrail was nothing more than a predetermined conclusion to begin with. In other words, they went in there with the mind of reaching their conclusion, and it didn't matter what evidence was presented, they were going to ignore it. So now you know what happened in 1888. 1980 that caused a greater schism and continues to cause problems for Seventh-day Adventists today, and why it is in decline, and why I feel that in this decade, the Seventh-day Adventists as we know it, unless they totally change their eschatology and get with the program on the right interpretation of Daniel, they will cease to be the Seventh-day Adventist Church founded in 1863. Until next time, this has been Golly saying, God bless.